I'll say for me, and this is now looking back, I used to talk about him all the time. And as I said, we were friends. So it was just, for me, we had such a close connection. And then similar things like, you know, our birthdays were on the same day. And we just seemed to be aligned on so many things. I suppose when I look back, I was like, yeah.
So how I suppose I knew pretty early on, I suppose, after a few dates, that Andrew was the one. I think what he was saying in terms of having an intellectual connection with somebody is what got to me, I think, because to have someone that can kind of challenge your mind and for you to be able to have a proper discussion about things with, I think that was what cemented it for me. And obviously sex is great, but...
Okay, so that's probably one for me because I was the one that kind of initiated and knew I wanted to be with Charlotte, if you like. But however, I don't think I knew I wanted to be with Charlotte until when something kind of clicked. From my perspective, we were friends for a long time and I saw certain qualities in her at the time, and I think she was in a relationship. And I think the moment I kind of knew that I was attracted to her is one day after she came to the pub after being out somewhere, and I kind of how happy she had been and she was smiling and whatever else. And I kind of looked at her sideways, and she didn't notice this or no one else knew this. And I kind of looked at her sideways and I thought,
not a clue.
Yeah, like, I think I'm kind of attracted to Charlotte. And then from there, it kind of, it grew more within me, and I kind of made it my mission to kind of, I don't know, go after her, I guess, would be the words I'd use. Obviously, you know, it took a while to kind of get her on the page as well as myself. But obviously, everyone that met me at the time, from her mum to her dad, to certain friends.
He sneakily told my dad in Europe.
Everyone knew. Yeah.
It's crazy to think though, that day you're talking about when I came, it was my 21st birthday. So that's 14 years ago.
Yeah.
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 So for me, even at that age, when I get into something, I'm always like going into it with the idea of, could this be, you know, like there was very few dalliances with people where I'm like in and out sort of thing. The moment, when was your moment?
I feel like we was probably together about 4 months, and I was on the train, Jubilee line. I think I was at Baker Street. It's Baker Street or Bond Street. And I was watching like a rat, like just running around very vividly. It's like all the bits connect. So I'm standing on the platform, it's very late. And it just hit, I was panicking. So the rat was there, that made me panic. And then there was something else panicking, like, if we don't stay together, I don't know how I'll be. Like just that moment of, I guess that's when you know that you're in love with somebody. And yeah, it was swirling around in my mind. I'm scared of this rat, but also I'm scared of, if we break up, what type of a person will I be? Like, how am I going to deal if he's not in my life anymore?
I think for me, I mean, I've got evidence of this. I have the receipts, because I said to my mum, I'm going to marry this girl. I said this to my mother, and my mum said, yes, whatever, son. Because obviously, you know, she's thinking, young love, whatever, you're not going to marry her. So I remember saying that to her. And it's something that I always remind my mum. Remember when I said to you, I was in the kitchen, I said to you that I'm going to marry her. So there was something within that. And I think for me, it was really a matter of, you find somebody who I generally felt, oh, she had my back. Like, she would definitely, if I was sick, she would look after me. If, you know, she would always put my interest there. And I guess ultimately, this is what you want. You want someone that you know has got you. And even at a very young age, it was something that was really important. And I was supremely attracted to her as well. There was, I say this all the time because I feel going back, gosh, how many amount of years, like she had a particular look, which was very different to a lot of the other girls that were at that particular time. And I think that I look at that now and I see how I say that you've influenced many people in terms of even things like lipstick and stuff. She wouldn't wear red lipstick. It would always be dark colours and stuff. And that was quite different. That was quite different to how other people would present themselves. She also dressed quite culturally, which was more of an influence from Jamaica, which most people didn't have that influence, but not bashment Jamaica, but from a different aspect. It was just very, very cultural led. And also she was very, very free in herself and wasn't aligned to being very, maybe through the dance, not necessarily being feminine in that way, but was very down and very relatable. So yeah, I guess that was little signifiers that kind of made her be a bit different to other people I'd met.
I mean, the conversation between me and her dad was kind of quite funny, actually. First time I ever met him. And he kind of just said to me, in Yoruba, because her dad speaks Yoruba, and said to me, look, do you want to marry my daughter? And I was like, well, yeah. Like, I wouldn't mind, or getting with your daughter kind of thing at the time. And he was like, okay, don't worry, I'll help you out. And I kind of like, oh yeah. I was like, yes.
He didn't help you.
Yeah, I know. He didn't do a thing. I did it all myself, but yeah. But nah, he kind of, which I thought was quite nice and reassuring at the time. But yeah, it was me, really, to answer your original question, that kind of made the first move and kind of went on that journey.
Obviously, sex was great, but...
It was actually, and that was a major part for it, really, to be fair as well. I hadn't met someone that equaled my energy before, and Karen did in many, many, many different ways. But for me, I think the point that I knew that this was something really special. We were in that restaurant in Crayford, was it Cypriot one? And the conversation that we were having there, I don't remember the exact conversation it was, but I just remember looking at her across the table and just thinking, I could stare at your face forever. And that was the point. I was like, right, cool, right, well, now you go all in and let's see what happens.
So the moments that kind of made me realise there was more than one, and it was kind of one step forward, two steps back. So the first time was a time when, again, we were just friends and he was helping me get ready for a night out. And it was really funny because I was like trying to this outfit and whatever. And then I went and met up with the girls to go out and stuff. Because he, at one point, was basically my neighbour. So we literally lived one road away from each other. And then over the years, like just little things like on a Sunday, we'd either go to the pub for a Sunday roast, or he'd pick me up, take me to the supermarket, we'd buy all the ingredients, and he'd get a newspaper and he'd literally put his feet up while I cook. And those little things that we just did, just normal, he would phone, oh, are you hungry? Let's go. There's this restaurant. And we'd go. That's the kind of relationship we had over the years, always. And there got to a point where I noticed I didn't see him much for a while. And I think that's obviously when he was, I think trying to maybe protect his own feelings. And then we got back in contact again and our friendship blossomed and we went on holiday. And when we came back, I realised that I missed him and didn't want obviously the relationship we had when we was on holiday, we were just together all the time. I didn't want that to then stop, if that makes sense. So I then initiated it. And then he basically admitted that that was the very last time that he was going to try. So yeah, lucky, basically.
And just to add, the night she's talking about, which was the very first night I dressed her, I mean, helped her get ready, because I still do it till now.
Still remember that outfit?
Yeah, I still do. Even today's outfit was partly inspired by me.
And I chose this look.
Yeah, you did choose it.
we both really like clothes and shoes and stuff, so we kind of like bounce off each other.
And just to add, that night, I remember, because I think that was the night of the you went to the hill that night, Muswell Hill, I think, if I remember. Yeah,
I was wearing purple.
Yeah. And I remember that was probably the first time I was desperate to kiss her, and I didn't.
So I went into it with the thing of like, I really want her to be the one, and I really believe that she is the one. And I always felt that. And then I think it was about a year. Was it a year into when my dad died? Or less than?
Less than a year.
Slightly less than a year when my dad died. And then I think just there's not one thing that I can pinpoint and say this, that, or the other. But it was just then that I knew, like, I need her around. Like, I knew that I needed her around to get through that period, but I just knew that I needed her around, full stop.